Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey, what's up?
He's Garret Price.
How's it going?
It's going pretty swell. You can always tell by Matt's slight delay that we are remote this week. You can always tell. A little different from me in-house to outhouse.
To outhouse.
Yeah, Matt's not wearing pants. Yeah, he's not wearing pants.
Yeah, I mean, why did
Relieving
you have
himself as we speak.
Yeah, why did you have to tell everyone my secret, Rich? What the heck, man? This is my poop chair.
We got new chairs for the studio, poop chairs. Do those potathons. So if you read the show title, we're going to redraft the rookies today. Kind of like look at them as a group. We are just a little bit more than halfway through the fantasy football season. Now, obviously the number one advice is never rush to judgment on rookies. Never. Like it's my favorite thing to do in Dynasty, right? Like whenever at the end of the year, like all those guys that had graded as first round picks, guys that went high in draft, high second round, anytime I can find value at the end of the year, because people are like, what have you done for him lately? And that's where they stand. Like, I want to get on those guys as much as possible. Now, that being said, we can still learn a lot in the first 7 weeks. And I think there's some very clear points that we're going to talk about in this draft. We're going to draft these players live, so we have no idea who's going to go where or why they're going to do it. Everything's going to be a surprise. So that's pretty excited to see kind of where these go. And, some doesn't change, but at the same time, a lot changed. And I think for me, it's more about players moving up significantly than a lot of players like moving down, right? Like even guys that like look like absolute nuclear disasters, Kaleb Johnson, for example, TreVeyon Henderson is another guy. They're not moving down my boards drastically, right? Like I will still give them the time to develop, to blossom, to turn into that beautiful flowers as I water them with my tears of draft picks that I used on them. So plenty of time for them to blossom out there. But before we get into all that, we have a big update. I've been talking about this for a very long time because when I got things in the pipeline, I get real excited. And this is one of the biggest things we've been working on, I think, now for the last year, I think, over at Dynasty Nerds. And if you go to the website, if you look in the Nerd Herd, we have a data hub now. And, it's just literally just stockpiled with useful statistics. And it's in the app too. So if you have the Dynasty GM app, make sure you go to the App Store, update the app. We have a lot of cool upgrades in there. The biggest one, the Data Hub, has been added. And it's exciting because like we have these other little small tweaks coming in the app that you should start seeing updates almost like every other month, I think, with like little tweaks that we're start added in there. But some really cool updates with the Data Hub. The League Analyzer has a really big update in there as well. Honestly, the Data Hub, cool, but the League Analyzer, which is my favorite tool in all of like Dynasty tools out there. But now like you can see all the teams' records in there. And also now you have like the optimal lineups, the starters only, like League Analyzer, their bench, how strong their bench is, their optimal players, like a lot of different ways you use a League Analyzer. But obviously the Data Hub here is the biggest thing we've been working on for quite some time. And our friend Jared Wackerly was courteous enough to write me a script to read. I think we got some promo codes for everybody out there that haven't had a chance to use the app yet, right? Like that, like, what am I going to do out there and play for tools? But like, I know a lot of people that go out and pay websites for these data hubs, right? Because like they're so useful. So like this is now just another tool inside our app that comes with your purchase. Like there's no $70 increase on our yearly subscription. There's no increase whatsoever. This is what you get. Like this is what we strive to do. Keep giving you the tools possible to dominate your Dynasty league. So I have no idea what this says. I'm going to read this cold turkey from what Jared wrote. So I'm sure it's really nerded up and very professional. So here's Here's the read and how to get a discount. All right, nerds, a quick update. We're super excited to announce we just flipped the switch on our brand new data hub inside the Dynasty GM. Dynasty Nerds is your official one-stop shop for all things Dynasty. Research and nerd out on fantasy stats to get a leg up on your league mates. You can filter by position, team, seasons, all the way back to 2020, even rolling weeks and stat minimums. Then dive into air yards, yards per route run, yards per target, target share, and all that good stuff. Here's the best part. If you're already a member, you're good. No price increase whatsoever. It's live for you right now. Open the app, go to the desktop, and go to the Dynasty GM, go to the left navigation menu, and then click Data Hub and start poking around. If you're not a member yet, this is a time. We still have a 20% off your first annual payment. Just use the code DATAHUB. DATAHUB, one word, at dynastynerds.com and sign up for our annual Dynasty GM and Nerd Herd bundle package. This is a limited time offer, so act now. That's 20% off our annual subscription, which is going to run all year long. So you're going to get not only the data hub, but the film room, the film breakdowns. I mean, we have so many people that join in after the season end because they just want to use our film room. Like, every major analyst uses our film room. Everybody out there, that's our biggest like actual sub time out there. So instead of like just spending 4 months paying for the film room, get the whole bundle with this 20% off discount. Your membership's going to unlock everything we have, right? Members only Nerd Herd podcast each week, the all 22 prospect film room for the incoming rookies, the yearly rookie guide that comes out that will update monthly for you, the rookie nerd score and nerd score plus, our film and data grades that have outperformed NFL draft capital, the members only Discord, and the Dynasty Nerds app and GM League Sync plus analyzer, trade calculator, mock drafts, rankings, and our lineup optimizer that beats default sleeper projections. That's right, our lineup optimizer that is built in the app. You upload all your leagues into it. It will set your lineup for you. It does better than the sleeper projections. We built this because we play just like you do, right? We wanted something fast that turns I think so into I know. Go try the Data Hub. Let us know what stats you want next week and snag that 20% off promo with the Data Hub promo code. Data Hub is a promo code at dynastynerds.com. Thanks, Jared. That was good. A little nerdy, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's a commercial. That's what you do. You sell things a commercial. But I'm super stoked about it, guys. Like, it's something I know we use a lot, for our shows. It helps us really kind of like, and sometimes like just looking at numbers can really help mold like your opinion on a player. Like when you see the proof in the pudding, right? Like, wow, he's doing this, he's doing that. Like, I know on tomorrow's show, like I have some good stats on Trevor Lawrence. Like people are like, oh wow, like Trevor Lawrence is a big turd for it, but like the data really says otherwise. So tune in tomorrow for that. So real excited about the Data Hub. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I know we've spent over a year talking about this behind the scenes, trying to get it built. It's been a slow process, but if anybody who ever is dealt with developing in your life, not only is it unbelievably expensive, it's also unbelievably time consuming. Gotta cash those checks. That's why.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, let's move into our redrafting the 2025 class. We'll talk about who moved up, who moved down, why we took them where we did, and of course, Rich Dotson 101. And Rich, this is a tough spot because there are a lot of different ways to go here at the 101. So even though it's like, oh yeah, I get the first spot, it's a layup, and it was all off season. It's like, okay, Ashton Jeanty, who's next? Is that still the case for you, Rich?
So this is a Superflex tight end premium mock draft, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Wild stuff out there on those streets. And I probably got to adjust my rankings accordingly for saying something like this. But if you'd have told me 3 months ago that I'd be talking like this, I would be like, what kind of drugs are you giving me on my own show? Did I get hit upside the head? Have I gone full blown crazy? I don't know. But if I have the 1-1 today and I'm redrafting today, I'm taking Jaxson Dart, number 1 overall. This is Superflex tight end premium. I can get a 22-year-old quarterback who, since taking over in week 4, is quarterback 4 on the year. He's tied for 7th most touchdowns in that span. with 7. He's got the 6th most rushing yards with 109. And for me in Superflex, it always starts and ends with the quarterback, because that is the highest scoring player. That is the longest longevity of a player you sure can get out of somebody. And when I get a caliber player of Jaxson Dart, who essentially is Drake May, right? And Drake May, you can make a really strong argument. Me and Garret have been doing it on live shows and the single shows, talking about like, man, Drake May, like outside of like, honestly, you know, like, and even then he's not too far behind, but like Josh Allen, like not even really Josh Allen, like Jayden Daniels, maybe. Like there's not many quarterbacks right now in Superflex you say you'd 100% take over Drake May. Like he's playing that well. And if you don't believe me, get in the data hub and look at the statistics, because he's his on target throws, his rush, everything. He's top tier, right? And with those turns around him, Jaxson Dart, you know, Garret, you said it, like reminds you a lot of like Drake May last year.
Yep. So
getting ahead of the curve, like I can't imagine things getting worse around Jaxson Dart, right? Like it can only get better. And what he's doing right now with what's around him is so encouraging. So, you know, as much as I love Ashton Jeanty, as much as, you know, Emeka Egbuka and Tetairoa McMillan and like how good they've looked, you know, Quinshon Judkins, Tyler Warren, like I can't pass up the chance to get a QB1 that has the potential to be a QB1 for the next 10, 12 years on my roster, which is going to give me top 15, top 20 overall fantasy football scoring. I can't pass it up. I'm taking Jaxson Dart 1-1 guys over Ashton Jeanty, and I'm doing it honestly pretty easily at this point.
I was really hoping you were just going to take Ashton Jeanty so I could take Jaxson Dart and make my life really, really simple. Because I feel like Jaxson Dart would have been such an easy pick at number 2. And now at number 3, stuff is so wide open, considering this is tight end premium and Tyler Warren's doing so good. Emeka Egbuka has had such a hot start. You mentioned both of those guys as kind of, you know, guys that you could potentially be looking at with that 1-1. With all that being said, though, it's so hard to pass up on a guy like Ashton Jeanty. He's sitting there at running back 13 right now. That's going to be the pick. It feels weird because the vibes are so bad around this guy right now, but he's still performing decently as a rookie. He's going to get tons of volume. And I think this is just going to keep kind of slowly getting better for him as he adjusts to the pro game. So that's why I'm taking him here at 2. There's guys I feel better about, but I think given that it's running back and there's just so few difference makers there that are going to be 3 down guys, to get a guy that has a shot at that, I'm going to have to go for it with Ashton Jeanty here at number 2.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And we've seen him come on fairly strong lately. I know this week was a little bit of a disappointment, but the past 4 weeks, even with this dud of a game in week 7, he's averaging 17.6 points per game over the past 4 weeks. So I can totally understand it. And honestly, this was a time where I was a little selfish and I put myself 3rd on purpose because I didn't want to have to make those choices that you guys had to make. Jaxson Dart was tough. Like I probably would have gone that route though. Ashton Jeanty was tough, but I probably would have gone that route. But I'm glad I didn't have to make the decision because honestly, the top 4 or 5 guys right now in this redraft are all incredibly, incredibly close for me.
Same.
No, I agree, man. And I feel very comfortable with taking Ashton Jeanty at 2. It wasn't like that was no dig on Jeanty, but like young quarterbacks trump all for me. And Jeanty has, you know, like Matt said, like anytime you have a position to get that guy who's a 3 down running back, like those are true difference makers in your league. And it's one of the smaller, it's just like kind of like the tight end, right? The elite tight end. Those 3 down running backs are such a small commodity to have that are even available to own on your dynasty roster. So get a guy like Ashton Jeanty, who is that kind of guy, really is like an elite asset in fantasy.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I thought I made it easier on myself, but I really didn't because honestly, I could see myself going Tyler Warren. I could see myself going Quinshon Judkins. I could see myself going Emeka Egbuka. And like all 3 of them, I think would be very, very legitimate picks and even arguably contending for some of those top spots. So with it being tight end premium, I'm going to go Tyler Warren. He's played so well this season. And, we talk about the opportunity that you need at tight end to be special. And he's getting that type of opportunity right now with these Colts. Right now, he's basically their wide receiver one. We've already seen him have a rushing touchdown this season. That was my biggest thing was, are they going to use him creatively like they did at Penn State? And they are. And you see so many times where they are scheming all of this so well, where the play action, everyone's biting in on Jonathan Taylor because of how well he's playing. Tyler Warren's just wide open in the flats, or they'll run deep routes. And Tyler Warren, not only just going up and catching the football, but what he does after the catch is a lot like you see out of guys like George Kittle and different players like that just make things happen. And that's what he's doing right now. And so as tempted as I am by those other guys, tight end is kind of what it's always been. You got about 3 guys you feel really good about, and then everybody else is just kind of the same. And so honestly, it's the positional scarcity, because I really wanted to go a different route, but you're just not going to get another Tyler Warren. So I'm going to go with him at 3.
Yeah, for me, Garrett, the 1 and 2 is pretty easy for me. With the Jaxson Dart to Ashton Jeanty, like that's a very easy picks for me. Like I feel very comfortable taking Jaxson Dart at 1. I feel very comfortable taking Ashton Jeanty at 2. At 3 is where I'm literally at a 50-50 split. So I'm glad at 4, like you split it for me, because it really does come down to me, Emeka Egbuka and Tyler Warren. And you're right. Like the smart move, the savvy move is taking Tyler Warren, because you mentioned like they have one of those difference makers at tight end, somebody who could be the number 1, the number 2 target. And Tyler, a guy like Tyler Warren could be the number 1 option. They're already tight end 3 on the year as it goes through. I think the only worry you would have is like we've seen, the Sam Laportas come through and the Kyle Pitts come through. These guys are elite right off the bat, and then they kind of take a step back. And what you don't want is like the Sam Laporta fact, where he goes back to like, which is still fine, right? Tight end 6, tight end 7, that range, to take a guy this high and pass up a guy like Emeka. But I think we have way less worry about that, because there is no Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Detroit Lions. Right. And to be fair, there's really no Jameson Williams on that team as well on the Colts. So for me, I think Tyler Warren is a nice, safe pick, where like the longevity and the production and get there will always make you happy. And it's way easier to find a receiver, maybe not the caliber of like what Emeka is doing right now, but man, it really does come down to the have and the have-nots, where like, hey, I can't have Emeka, but I can have somebody pretty close on a points per game basis, where Tyler Warren offers you 2, 3, 4 more points per game than your league mates tight ends. And that's a big difference maker when it comes down to a entire year. And more importantly, when you get into the playoffs where you have stacked teams facing each other and you're trying to get that edge over your opponents. So I think it's a great pick, which obviously makes my pick pretty easily for me. It's Emeka Egbuka, currently wide receiver 6 on the year. With Emeka, we were kind of like, hey, what's going to happen with Chris Godwin? And then Chris Godwin's injury, realized he's not coming back till later. And then you have Mike Evans there. Like, what's going to look like when Emeka Egbuka is going to be the number 1 receiver on this team and he acclimates? And we know he had a ton of time at Ohio State to become a professional wide receiver, which is what a lot of these Ohio State receivers done. And we've been so lucky where we don't have to wonder. We've seen immediately since week 1 what Emeka Egbuka will look like in this offense as a number 1 receiver. And it's picked up right where Baker left off last year in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we're getting elite fantasy football production out of the receiver position, especially Emeka Egbuka. Wide receiver 6 on the year. And that was despite this past week with like this last game just last night where like Baker was just throwing everything high. He was just, I don't know what was going on with him, but everything was off. And the week before that, Emeka only had 4.4 points because he hurt himself, right? So despite all of that, Emeka is still wide receiver 6 on the year, with like missing most of a game with a hamstring injury. And kudos to him coming back. So like anytime you get one of these young wide receivers that you feel could be a wide receiver 1 year in and year out are the cornerstones of your dynasty team, right? Like if you go back just a couple of years ago, like everybody's just taking these young wide receivers. It's the number one asset in Dynasty. I think, with our research and our study, we've shown, it's shown that like there's not really a lot of difference between having one of those elite young running backs that are 3-down running backs from the time frame they play and what they give you out there. So to get one of those guys and, in this draft class, which is looking pretty strong, I feel real good about getting Emeka Egbuka here at pick 4 overall.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's a really good pick. I was hoping and praying somehow he would get back to me. Obviously, that really wasn't. That was more of a pipe dream than anything else. I didn't really think it was going to happen.
Well,
but
Matt, too, I just want to give you kudos to you. I don't think people remember, we have one rookie draft that we do really late, like a week or like 2 weeks before the NFL season started. And Matt had the 4th overall pick in that draft. And we said, I don't know if anybody remembers back in the podcast, Matt took Emeka Egbuka over Tetairoa McMillan and Travis Hunter at the time. So I just want to give you your kudos and shout out to you for making that move, which shocked a lot of people at the time. But boy, do you look like a smart podcast host and Dynasty analyst for doing that. So I just want, before you make your next pick, I just want to give you your credit where credit's due by making that pick, because that was a big time ballsy pick at the time before the NFL season had even started.
Well, yeah, thank you. And that kind of turned that team from a slight rebuild team into a contender instantly. So that's how crazy and good Emeka Egbuka has been this year, that he has been that kind of difference maker. So it's crazy, the rookie season he's having, and that's a great pick that you made there at number 4. So moving on to number 5, this is where it's going to get real hard for me, because there are 2 guys that I'm having a hard time separating here, and it's Tetairoa McMillan and Quinshon Judkins.
I'll take whoever you want to give me.
I know you will. You're just going to sit back again and let somebody else decide for you. So, Quinshon obviously, missed the game, is still in the running here, inching closer to running back 1 numbers. I think he's running back 15 at right now, and looks like an absolute monster. The concerns I have is, who knows what that offensive line is going to look like next year for the Cleveland Browns. There's some guys retiring and some guys that are free up for free agency. So it might not be better. And obviously, Tetairoa McMillan, he's wide receiver 27 right now. But if you look at routes run, he's the 8th. He has the 8th most routes run. I think 15th or so in targets. So there's a lot there that looks good, and him in general looks good. Obviously, you got to pause and worry about my guy Xavier Legette after this weekend finally showing up and kind of showing out, right? Yeah.
We gave you props in the risers and fallers show. He didn't quite make our list of our top 3 risers, but we did give you love there. Like, man, look at this, career high in targets, career high in yards.
Just Andy Dolphin, baby. That's all you need out there.
But with that being said, I think I've already gone the running back route here, and these aren't necessarily connected teams or anything like that where I'd have to go wide receiver here to kind of hedge my bets. So I'm gonna go Quinshon Judkins again, just on the fact that it is a hard thing to find are these 3-down running backs. And that's what Quinshon Judkins is becoming very quickly. He's not as, he's not as involved in the passing game as you'd like, but he is getting some passes thrown his way, which I think is a good sign that maybe someday he can grow into that a little bit.
Yeah, man, I think that's what's most, oh, sorry, Garrett. You want to go ahead? No,
you're good.
I was going to say, that's what's kind of really impressed about him, Matt. You mentioned as he inches closer to running back 1 territory. Since week 2, he's running back 11 on the year. Since week 2, his 467 rushing yards are 11th most in the NFL, despite not playing week 1. And what's impressive is, even with, obviously, he had the 3 touchdowns this past week, which is massive, and 2 of those were short yardage touchdowns. The fact that he is doing it as not a PPR running back, right? And I think the only thing that would scare me just a little, not scare me, that brings me back just a little bit, is that they do have Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson will most likely be that guy for the long term. But if Quinshon can do what he's done, yeah, man, that's like a very safe draft. It just, I mean, you're just literally thinking Nick Chubb all over again, right? As a Browns fan, I was so sad to see Nick Chubb lead the Browns. He's literally one of my all-time favorite Browns. and they have Quinshon slide right in and look as good as he does. Really has a lot of that mojo behind him. And we know Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry were two running backs that were able to get it done with that, despite not being heavily involved in the passing game. It looks like Quinshon Judkins is that next running back that can evolve into that dynasty asset. Somebody you can plug and play week in, week out, and have no concerns about the production you're going to get out of them.
Yeah, I'm 100% on the same board. And if I had to have made a decision, I would have gone with Quinshon as well. And I probably even tipped my hand at that when I was talking about him with Emeka Egbuka and Tyler Warren kind of being all in a similar tier for me. But he's done nothing to dissuade me from being really high on him. And he got great nerd scores from us in the preseason. So all the right things have really shown up so far. But that does leave me with T-Mac at my pick here. And I feel great. He looks like a true bona fide wide receiver one for an NFL team. I think he's got the upside to potentially be a wide receiver one in fantasy football too. I know Carolina hasn't been this passing juggernaut at this point, but I think as this offense evolves, he's at least always going to get the targets. If he gets better quarterback play, that's where he could really hit his ceiling. But just as long as he continues to have the amount of targets he's getting, he's going to be awesome. He's going to be awesome. So I have no worries about Tet McMillan at all. I know we like having a little bit better situations around him, but they're going to be behind often. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. And that's great news for a guy like T-Mac. The wingspan is there. The highlight catches are there. Just really needs touchdowns. And if that comes, better days are ahead. So that's going to be my pick at 106. So we're halfway through the first round. I think we're only going to go 2 rounds today. Maybe if we have time, we'll do a rapid fire third round. But Rich, that puts you back on the clock at 1-7.
Yeah, another really easy pick for me. This is a guy I actually would have taken where Matt's pick was. So I would have taken this player over Quinshon Judkins. I would have taken this player over Tet McMillan. It's Omarion Hampton. The knee injury, yeah, it sucks, and he's missing it. I think this is something that easily falls into the category of like, what have you done for me lately when we're doing, a mock draft halfway through the season, how good Quinshon's looked. Before he got hurt in week 5, Omarion Hampton was actually running back 10 on the year, averaging 15.4 points per game, 0.3 points ahead of Quinshon. Again, Quinshon had those 3 touchdowns this past week, which really kind of propels him up there. I think that, you mentioned offensive lines. Omarion Hampton, once, going into the next year with Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, will have a much better offensive line, much better quarterback play, much better receiving room. And he actually he will be involved in the passing game as well. So I think Omarion Hampton is, to me, a much safer. Again, I love Quinshon. This is no dig on Quinshon. I think it just shows you how strong early on this class is. And I would never even say you took Quinshon over Omarion Hampton. That's a terrible pick because you have 2 quality running backs here. I think the ceiling's a little bit higher at Omarion Hampton long term. And if I could honestly, if I had Quinshon Judkins and I could flip him into Omarion Hampton for those people who are just like, ooh, what have you done for me lately? And how good Quinshon has looked coming up that big game, I would feel comfortable making that move personally. But again, I'm splitting hairs. I know I am, but I really do like the upside of Omarion Hampton and what he showed us early on. And that was even the first 2 weeks, it was 8.1 points, 3.5 points, and then boom, 24.9, 27.5, 13. And that's because he got hurt, right? He hurt his knee. So he really started to step his game up there and kind of show us hey, I'm ready to be this elite running back, where Quinshon, again, without that passing ability, guys, I think he can kind of be like that Nick Chubb, anywhere from running back 9 to running back 13 range, pretty consistently. If Dylan Sampson goes down, they get him involved in the passing game, which we saw a little bit of Nick Chubb at times. He could propel himself. But I think Omarion Hampton has the potential to be up into that running back 4, running back 5, and in one given year, definitely has a chance to be like the Jonathan Taylor running back 1 overall as well. So I would go Omarion Hampton here and feel real comfortable with it.
Well, that makes my pick extremely easy. Thank you, Rich. Cam Skattebo is obviously the pick here.
Oh, the top row, flying elbows. Let him go.
I mean, running back 8 right now in the season. I think he's 5th in targets, 6th in reception. So he's getting it done in all sorts of facets. He has 5 rushing touchdowns right now and another receiving touchdown. And the dude is just fun. I want a piece of it. Get on the Cam train. Come on. Hop on. Let's go.
Dude, you said running back 8 on a year, Matt, going back to week 2, which because he wasn't getting loved week 1, he's running back 6 on a year since week 2. Like, dude,
yeah.
And you're right. Like those, like just like I mentioned about like Jaxson Dart last week, like once he high-fived the ref, like I was all in as a little bump by itself. Like those are the kind of players that you get super excited about, right? Like, you know, like, and it's easy, like Christian McCaffrey, you're super excited about him because he's a do-it-all guy. But a guy like Cam Skattebo, who's just like a wolf in like a chicken hen, you know, like it's just going wild out there, just going nuts. Like he's such a fun player to have on your roster, an easy guy to root for.
I can't remember if it was this past weekend or the weekend before, but it was like he was rushing in. He was on the way to the end zone, and he was for sure going to get in. There was a defender like 3 yards within the end zone, and and you know, sometimes those could be like little light hits, like you're already in, no big deal. Dude lowers the boom on the dude in the end zone and just runs him over and just gets up and like goes nuts. Like that's the kind of player I want to watch and like want to root for, and just because he's like the fun kind of crazy, you know what I mean? Just the insane dude that you just want to see succeed. So I'm happy to have him on my team here at what pick 8. Love it.
Hey, Nerd Herd, want to tell you about a show that we've been doing live on YouTube where we go over your teams and we talk about how to fix your broken roster. It's called Roster Rescue. We do it live every single Monday at noon Eastern time. And if you want to get a part of that, just head to our Dynasty Nerds homepage, go under the store tab, and you'll find Roster Rescue right there. Perfect opportunity to get your rosters in shape before the season or even in the middle of the season to make sure that you can win a championship. Yeah, it's a really tricky situation for me because I'll say my guy now, but I want to talk about Cam Skattebo. I'm taking TreVeyon Henderson here, but with you taking Cam Skattebo, I was really trying to decide, who do I want? Do I want Cam or do I want TreVeyon Henderson? And here's the reason that I was leaning toward Cam before you sniped him was as much as I think TreVeyon, I still believe in the player. I think it's way too early to give up on this kid. Cam Skattebo's already there. He's already doing it. Why would I not just take the guy that's already doing it for the guy that I hope is about to do it? You know, and running backs can be shorter window guys. The way TreVeyon plays, maybe he'll last a little longer than a Cam Skattebo will, but maybe it never happens. Cam already has the role, and he had to beat out a Tyrone Tracy. I know the injury kind of helped, but he was already on that path before that. They were giving him the ball more and more and more, and he was doing good things with it. And then the following week was when he got hurt. So he was doing all the right things, and he's used in all 3 facets of the game. So Cam Skattebo, I mean, a guy that we absolutely loved his tape coming into the season. We all, as I think all 4 of us, including Jared, all of us had him at 5. I think he was all our consensus running back 5. Where everybody else, it was like the big 4, and then we'll talk about other guys. It's like, no, there's a big 5. Cam Skattebo's just behind those guys. Then we can start talking about other players. Just love to see how he's translated to the game, and to once again show the 40-yard dash is the most overrated measurement for a running back, period, bar none. Like, he's not fast. Like, there's rumors he would have run in the 4.7s. Okay, doesn't matter. Like, he's looking like one of the best running backs in the league right now. So, but I'll transition over to TreVeyon Henderson. I still believe in this guy. You go back to guys like Jonathan Taylor, who is now an elite running back. He's already had 3 RB1 seasons. He's well on his way to having another one here, and maybe even a second RB1 overall season. Like, he's having an absurd season. In his rookie campaign into week 10, I mean, he had done basically nothing. He had a bunch of single-digit point games. He never scored above 15 points. There was just a lot of negative buzz around this guy.
I mean, do you remember we were having these same conversations about Jonathan Taylor about whether or not he was ever going to figure it out because he was running into the back of his line. He was doing a bunch of stuff that was just, it looked bad visually, and it wasn't amounting to anything from a statistical basis either.
And that was, fairly early on. I'd only been in at Nerds for a little over a year at that point, maybe pushing 2. But I remember Rich specifically being like, I'm mad at you for encouraging me to draft him. And I was like, oh no, I've messed up, and then we see where he is now. So I am not ready to give up on a player that I spent this much time scouting and saw all of these above average to borderline elite traits from. Like, I am not going to give up on that. The good news for people that are still believers, which I think there's plenty, there is starting to become a dip. We have gotten far enough into the season where he is acquirable. A great Richism was, a guy that was untouchable. Now he's touchable. We can touch him now. So we can go out and we can get a TreVeyon Henderson. Yes, he's still not crazy cheap. He is still, a second round running back in the NFL draft. People still believe in him as a player and what he could be in this league. But we see this all the time where there's incumbents, especially with old school coaches like a Mike Vrabel. There's these old school coaches that come in all the time and they got to let the veterans do their thing and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. Whatever. Eventually he's going to get his opportunity. You don't draft a guy there and never give him a chance to show what he can do. So for me to get him now at 9, I wasn't sure how far he would fall. Feels like a really good value, even though I don't disagree with any of the players that were taken above him. I think that shows how good this class has been, but it feels good being able to get TreVeyon Henderson this low.
Yeah, I think we reached a point now, like where you're going on, the pre-draft process. Everybody we've said right now has been safe, right? Like you feel very. There's not a single player that was mentioned before TreVeyon where anybody in Dynasty was like, "Oh, I want him on my roster," like for sure. And you're right. I think TreVeyon's become a tremendous buy. For non-savvy Dynasty players out there that had drafted him that worry, and you can flip him for a running back that is producing that's not like a long-term asset, and I would do that on even though I was a contender, right? Like I would buy that dip despite any move. Like if somehow I could move Saquon for TreVeyon Henderson, I would love that, even though he's not really producing. A guy who is producing, a guy like Javonte Williams, if I could move Javonte Williams for TreVeyon Henderson, is a move I would love to make right now. A guy who I don't like, who's solid, like Kyron Williams falls in that category. Can I move Kyron Williams for TreVeyon Henderson is somebody who else I think can kind of get the deal done. But again, future draft capital, may have a receiver, tight end. If there's any path for me to acquire him, I'm all in. And you're right, Garrett, that'd be a tough one for me to take Cam Skattebo ahead of TreVeyon Henderson because how much I love this tape, right? Going back to that process. And I could see why you would do it. And I think same thing with me, like it'd be like a 50-50 coin flip. Kind of how I felt about like Omarion Hampton and TreVeyon Henderson earlier. Like it was a 50-50 coin flip. Now it's turned to Cam Skattebo and TreVeyon Henderson, which, like you said, like from us, like it's nothing that's drastic because we love this tape so much. So like if you go back, I don't think you'll find any Dynasty podcast, and I'm sure there's some out there, and I don't listen enough, but like you're not gonna find anybody that wasn't as higher on Cam Skattebo than we were. And I mean, we literally made comments on this podcast all the time, like, why is everybody so low on Cam Skattebo? And like we were so confused because like all 4 of us liked him. It wasn't even like one of us were like, well, dude, this is why. Like all 4 of us were like, nope, this guy's gonna be good. Like his short area burst is good. It's really. We've said on the show, like it drives me nuts because I let a guy like Kaleb Johnson at draft capital who had much lower in my tape score jump Cam Skattebo, and I will rue the day, right? Like here I am. I've been playing Dynasty for 22 years, and I can fall in the trap sometimes. And I did, and I regret it, and I deserve to be slapped on the back of my hands with a ruler. I deserve it. I won't cry. Maybe 50-50. We'll see. Depends how hard you hit my hands. So I'm on the clock here. Love all the picks so far. I think we're starting to slowly water down this draft a little bit, but at this pick, I still feel really, really good about the guy I'm gonna get, and kind of like in the same range where he was going earlier. That's Travis Hunter. Kind of showed this week a really good game and we knew Travis Hunter was going to be a process, right? Like I was really discouraged like a couple weeks ago, like how much he was playing on defense. And all of a sudden he comes out this week, has a monster game. And it wasn't just a top monster game. It was Liam Cohen the other day too going, hey man, we just got to find a way to get Travis Hunter the ball. Like he's a playmaker. We drafted him there for a reason. Like we got to get the ball in his hands. Like all offensive coach speak coming from Liam Cohen going, yeah, this guy, like we have to score points. This guy's a weapon. Let's get him the football. So we know that Travis Hunter has the potential to be an elite wide receiver one from what we saw on tape. We just know like he has to learn how to run NFL routes. So if they're going to, script plays for him and manufacture touches and actually start to develop him into a wide receiver, the sky is the limit for Travis Hunter. He still has the potential to be a better receiver than Emeka and Tetairoa McMillan. He has that kind of potential within him. So to get Travis Hunter here, again, I feel really good about it. And obviously this past week was kind of a sign of things that could come for a guy like Travis Hunter. So after that pick is where, again, now I feel like the watered down effect. I think once Travis Hunter, for me personally, guys, and how you feel is off the board here, now it starts to go like, oh man, is this like K-Cup coffee?
No, I'm with you there. We're getting back into the land of kind of pre-draft where were you at pre-draft on these guys? Because there isn't a ton to hold a lot of these guys up from a production standpoint, from this season. So, it's, or at least it's watered down compared to some of the guys we've been talking about so far. So with that said, I mean, I love that Travis Hunter pick. I was hoping and praying you were going to go a different direction just so Travis Hunter would come to me. But again, it didn't happen. Such is life, but with this being tight end premium, I'm going to go Colston Loveland here because I do think, obviously we haven't seen a ton of production from him yet, but I think that's kind of on the horizon. Things are getting better with him. If you look at, the past 2 weeks, he's had 3 and 4 targets. In week 3, he also had 3 targets, but Cole Kmet also got dinged a little bit, has a back issue. So I do think this is kind of going to be the time when Colston Loveland kind of starts to see an upswing in his usage and therefore an upswing in his production. So, going forward throughout the rest of the year, what I want to see out of a guy like Loveland is kind of him establish himself in the pecking order somewhere in the top 3, you know what I mean, of targets in this offense before the end of the season. If that happens, I'm going to feel really good about him going forward next year. So with that said, that's I feel pretty good about this pick still. I know Rich said things are starting to get pretty icky, and it does feel icky, but we all like this guy's tape as well coming out, and he does have a lot more of that Travis Kelce to his game rather than like the George Kittle effect of a Tyler Warren. So, his
True
game
fact.
is a little bit more smooth, and hopefully that kind of stuff will kind of start to transition and show itself towards the end of this season as well.
And I don't think we've reached the icky part yet. That's not what I said. I said a little watered down, like K-Cup coffee. It's still coffee. I'm still drinking it. I can put a little something in there, maybe a little tune up. Like I love coffee. I'm still drinking it. This is not icky yet. It's just a little watered down from what we had before.
It's not Folgers.
I don't drink Folgers. I don't even remember what it tastes like. I don't go that.
No, you remember that freeze dried Folgers stuff back in the day where it was just like you put it in hot water.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it wasn't real coffee.
Gross,
it was
though.
gross.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gross.
That's icky.
I love coffee too much to be doing stuff. Like I'm such a coffee little snobby bitch that like I don't even want like K-Cup to me is like oh god it's like hot water.
The
freeze dried stuff was like in the 80s, I feel like. So that was a long time ago.
I lived it, man. I lived it.
Colston is definitely somebody else that I'm kind of interested in if I can get him on the cheap and somebody's lost hope. Tyler Warren has just hit the ground gangbusters. Right. And it just makes it seem a lot worse than it really has been for Colston Loveland. And we've got rumors already that DJ Moore might be not long for this team. And if that's the case, things really open up then. And it really is Rome Odunze. And then it's Colston Loveland and Luther Burton fighting for targets at that point. So I think he's another one that I do really want to target. And a guy that I'm going to take here just because I just can't let him slip out of the first round. He's the 1-1 pick in the draft. He's a quarterback. This is a super flex league. So I got to take Cam Ward here. I mentioned it before. I am not in at all on Cam Ward. And in fact, I am looking to sell if I have him. That being said, he is still a quarterback. And they have the longest shelf life. If you're a first-round quarterback, his value is insulated for a while. So even if I am still worried about the player specifically, maybe whoever the new head coach is comes in and fixes a lot. There's a chance of that. Maybe I just am able to get out at the right time after a good game, and I can kind of wash my hands of it and start over. Like, awesome. But I'm not going to just relegate the 1-1 overall pick in the NFL draft at the quarterback position to the second round. So even though I don't love making this pick, it feels like a necessity to take him.
I actually loved taking Colston Loveland and making you make that pick. That was something I knew. That. Yeah, no problem. But that's what friends are for.
Yeah, but it's great value, man. It really is tremendous value with a guy who went 1-1. We actually, out of all the quarterbacks, we liked his tape amongst all the quarterbacks, even of a guy like Jaxson Dart. And listen, I say that. We preface it when we watch quarterback tapes. When we watch tape on quarterback, it is the hardest thing to do, right? Because there's so much more to do it. I mean, we do not sit here and pretend, that NFL GMs and scouts get paid millions and millions of dollars scout these guys and fail 50% of the time. So as fantasy football podcast hosts, we certainly don't try and sit in these seats and go, this quarterback, this. Like, we've done pretty good, with them, here and there, guys that we love. But like, there's so much more than just arm talent, and they're so moldable, right? Like there's such a product of their surroundings. And what's nice about Cam Ward is, like, you're right, it has not looked good, but this is a team that's gonna have a top 3 pick again, right? They have a whole new coaching staff that's gonna come in here, and I guarantee you they're gonna draft a coaching staff that's gonna feel most comfortable fixing Cam Ward. Whether it be like a Mike Kafka, a Joe Brady, something along those lines, but an offensive quarterback-minded coach will come in here, and they will have the cap to sign free agents, and they will have the draft capital as well to start building around a guy like Cam Ward. And it wouldn't even surprise me, guys, if like that's the kind of team that goes out there and trades for a T. Higgins, right? And brings him out there, or even like trade for a guy like you mentioned before, like a DJ Moore to help Cam Ward. I think they will find a lot of different paths to build around Cam Ward. And I think the Cam Ward we see now in 2027 will be drastically different than 25 in his 1-1 rookie year. So yeah, it's ugly, but what great value for you, Garrett, as like say you had a 112 when you're drafting today, you just start up like, wow, like I just won my league, and I got the best quarterback in the league. And you know how hard those guys are to come by and how easy to flip scripts, right? Jaxson Dart went 1-1 here. Now Cam Ward's going 112. There is a world where next year at this time we're going, wow, Cam Ward, man, if I was doing a startup, I'd take him like the second round, third round. Like, far-fetched, but overall, very possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right now we're at 47 minutes and we've only made it through one round. So we'll do our little commercial spot here, and then we are going to fly through the second round. We'll probably forego the third round just for time's sake.
Okay. Yeah. So before we move on, I got to tell you about our friends over at FastDraft. You know, if you're looking for action outside, say your fantasy team's dead, your dynasty team, like, oh man, dude, I'm 1-5. I made all the trades. Like, I'm at the bottom now. Like, there's nothing more to do here because I'm just riding out these dumbass rosters that are so terrible. Like, you know, Tyquan Thornton's my wide receiver 1. Like, Alec A.O. Manor's my wide receiver 2. My running back 1 is Jerome Ford. Like, you know where you're going. You're on the highway to one of those top receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, 1-1 to 1-3. So FastDraft is going to give you an opportunity to keep on winning, right? Doing what you're not doing in your dynasty teams, or you're winning so much you want to keep on winning, right? Like, I'm going to win my league. I'm going to take all this mojo and carry over. They got some good games going on right now. Here's one of the really good games that go on where you just draft 6 skill position players, no QBs, no kickers. Then you apply your captain boosters that multiply the points up to 2 times. That sleeper rookie that we talk about in this draft right here, boom, put him in there, boost him up, get those Cam Skattebo double points. Watch that money come rolling in. You choose between a quick 6 super slam or a flex 6 frenzy tournament with guaranteed prize pools. First place will take home 30%. That's a $300 profit on a single $5 entry. And this is where, this time of the year where we pay so much attention to these players. Now we have this data hub where you can actually get an edge in some of these tournaments with the kind of information that we have over here at Dynasty Nerds. So use that promo code NERDS, and FastDraft is going to match your deposit up to $100. And mention the data hub. Right now, you're like, hey man, you got this data hub, you got all these tools that you mentioned at the beginning of the show. Like, I do want to try them, but like I'm a little nervous about just diving in. Hey, FastDraft is here to hook you up. Not only can you win these tournaments, but if you make at least a $10 deposit in the FastDraft and you use the promo code NERDS, we will give you a free 1-year bundle of the Nerd Herd and everything I mentioned at the beginning of the show. And that's for all new users. If you never had the app, you've never been a Nerd Herd member, get in there, go to FastDraft, use the promo code NERDS. We will give you 1 year. The data hub, the analyzer, the film, everything I mentioned early on, for 1 full calendar year. But again, if you're already a member and you experience all that data hub gloriness and the new league analyzer, hey, you jump on FastDraft, you make a $10 deposit, we're giving you a $25 gift certificate to our store. You're going to be wearing some of the most comfortable shirts in the world. Your high five intake will increase drastically walking around one of those bad boys. Hoodies, undies, anything you need to clothe your body to enhance your handsomeness. That's right. We will step you up when you're in front of the mirror with that gift shop. So check them out. FastDraft, promo code NERDS. Get the app, go to the website, and dominate FastDraft.
All right, let's get into round 2. Rich, you got the first pick.
Oh, I gotta go fast though. Okay.
Yeah, we probably need a 3x speed.
3x speed. Okay. So I'm looking at some guys here. We got a first round receiver. We got some running backs I like here.
Take your time.
I'm looking. I'm going to stick with the guy that I love pre-draft process, and I still think the future is bright despite being J.K. Dobbins here. I'm going to take R.J. Harvey. I think that the sky is still a limit for him. I think he's going to be a league winner in 2026. I'm going R.J. Harvey at 2-1.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty good pick right there. I am going to go with the first round wide receiver here, Matthew Golden. I know we haven't seen a ton of production out of him yet, but at 2-1 or at 2-2, rather, I think within the next year, I think by the end of 2026, all the wide receivers there are free agents. So it's going to be him. It's obviously going to be Tucker Kraft there as well as probably the top 2 targets. So it might just take a little bit of time with him, but he'll be the number 1 option there soon enough.
I'm going to go a little bit out in left field here, and I'm going to take a player that is getting a lot of targets lately and is doing something with them. I'm going to go Oronde Gadsden.
Damn you! I was going to go. You jerk. Yes. Totally.
You got to pick first. You can't be mad at me. So look, with this being a tight end premium draft, once again, it's what do we want these guys to be? We want them to be producers, and we're hoping. And look, Mason Taylor was on my mind, Fannin, Arroyo, like all those guys. I still have high hopes for a lot of them, and they've shown glimpses and flashes of being very good. But what he's doing already, the target share he's getting and what he's doing with it, I mean, is just absolutely absurd. When you look at his points per game, and granted, his first couple weeks, he didn't even play. And then, it takes a little bit to get going in the offense, only 9.6, which is solid, then 3.6, 2.4, but then 11.8 and 29.4. So on a points per game basis, he's actually tight end 8 at this point.
He's only been the starter the last 2 games. So that, the last 2 games, he's actually been the starter, and he's balled out basically. 7
receptions in both of those games. So when you're already starting to show me that quickly, could it crumble? Yes, he's a later draft pick. It's definitely possible. But this is why we take upside tight ends. for them to get to this point, I don't think this is going away. So I'm going to go with Gadsden.
Yeah, if I was on the clock 2 picks ago where Matt was, I was down to 2 players. It was Oronde Gadsden and a player I'm going to take. And you mentioned like Oronde is somebody that we talked about in the preseason, right? We talked about momentum. Like he looked really good in the preseason. We're like, hey, this is a guy kind of showing a little something out there in this offense. So I was torn between Oronde Gadsden. Again, Matt took Matthew Golden out of taking Gadsden or taking a guy I'm going to take. And I actually would take this player over Gadsden. That's Harold Fannin Jr. This is a tight end who's been unbelievably consistent in this offense. And he's seen a lot of targets. He's currently tight end 10 on the year already. David Njoku's a free agent, already mentioned in trade talks potentially as well. This would be a huge dip if somehow they re-signed David Njoku somehow, some way. But right now, it's not even a target share that he's getting amongst a bunch of receivers that do not have good hands. There's no clear number one there in Cleveland. You could argue Fannin is the number one receiver in there. But really impressive with Fannin as well is kind of what he did in college, where he led college in all of receptions and yards as well. It's what Fannin does when he gets the ball in his hands. Oh. This is a bowling ball out there that does not go down on first contact. He is a yards after catch stud. So the transition of everything I talked to him up on college. And I remember, Garrett, like you were a little bit more down on Fannin than I was. And you said you didn't really see it. And you're like, and we said, wait, hey, we'll find out. I know you and I had that conversation over and over again. Everything that I saw on tape is immediately transitioned to the NFL level. So I feel really good about getting Harold Fannin. Definitely in the Superflex tight end premium league. And honestly, I think these 2 picks of Fannin and Gadsden wouldn't even change for me where they're at if it was non-tight end premium. That I'd still want 2 of these guys on my roster.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, dude, that's a really nice pick right there. I'm next up. I don't care. I'm going to take this guy probably 1 pick too early, and I just don't want Garrett to steal my guy this time. So I'm going to take Brashard Smith. I don't give a crap. I know I know this is probably early, but I don't want you snaking him from me again. Obviously, this past week, 14 attempts, 39 yards rushing, not great output there, but five targets, 5 receptions, 42 yards. He put together 13.1 points per game in PPR this past week. And this was exactly what I was talking about last week on our show when I was talking about, hey, this is a guy you want to go out and get now because I think he's going to start getting more production and this is going to get ramped up. And I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly, but 1 week later, here he is kind of in this conversation. And, Jacory Croskey-Merritt is on the board, and I was thinking about him as well as far as running backs.
You don't want to do that.
But Brashard Smith is a guy that he's going to derive his value from the PPR game. And obviously we all want a piece of this Kansas City offense, and whoever's going to be the next hotness here, it's going to be Rashee Rice and it's going to be somebody else. I mean, Kelsey's there now. Hollywood Brown is there now. Both those guys are going to be off this team next year. I think Brashard Smith has a pretty good chance of kind of cementing himself between now and the end of the season as a big play guy for this offense.
And I know we're in a hurry here, but I don't want to do our listeners just justice as Sam. Perfect timing after Matt said, "Hey, this is my buy," right on Brashard Smith. And listen, a lot of action came when they were up like 31-0. He was the guy in the fourth quarter, but like on top of that, he still saw his snap share was all career highs. He saw 30%, 36%, 14 carries. But the big thing, like Matt said, his route participation at 22%, saw a 14% target share out there. And he actually had like the biggest takeaway you're going to get out of there were actually like designed targets for him. Like first week, he had 5 of those designed targets for him in the passing game. And that's what we kind of talked about before with that. And I think the encouraging part was, Matt, they were actually giving the carries as well. So that's where I can get a little bit more excited, because it's easy to say, hey, man, like he got most of that work in the fourth quarter. They're up 31-0. Of course, that's when they get the action. But for a team that's been looking for a running back where they're using Pacheco as just a guy, Kareem Hunt at the goal line, Brashard Smith, I think, solidified himself for how the offense wants to use a running back as the best case scenario. I hope it does continue on. But like you said, at this point, that's worth the risk, I think, not to miss out on that. Definitely compared to like the comparables you can get after him here.
Correct. Yep.
So for me at 2.6, this one actually worked out pretty well for me. It was between Oronde Gadsden and the guy that I ended up taking here. I took Luther Burden here. And when you get to the mid-second round, it's ceiling. And Luther Burden has one of the highest ceilings, even of guys upwards of the end of the first round. He has one of the highest, if not the highest ceiling of all of those players. It's a guy that we've already seen make some big plays in this offense. We've seen him score some long touchdowns, even motivating him enough to block at times. We've seen him throw some nasty blocks as well. So there's a lot on tape to like with what he's done so far. It's really just, is there going to be enough volume for him? And right now there's just not. But if you're already showing me the signs of what you can do on a little bit of volume, that larger volume is going to come. We talked about DJ Moore being a very likely candidate to be off of this roster next year. And if that's the case, he's fighting with Colston Loveland for the number 2 role. And if there's somebody that's going to fill the Amon-Ra type role in this offense, it would probably be a Luther Burden. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out. But the ceiling is 100% there. So I'm going to take him at 2.6.
Well, you all know my nickname in this business, and I already got a little taste on Harold Fannin. And once you can't, once you get a little taste, that's how you go full slut, right? Because you just can't stop, and you start getting into pants of everywhere else. And I'm going Mason Taylor pretty easily here. Second round pick, has looked really, has looked good in his opportunities. Yes. Athletic tight end. Again, just terrible quarterback play. They're making a switch this week. Justin Fields already benched. Shout out to whoever I traded Justin Fields for that 28 first, after week 2. I'm sorry, but not sorry. I've been on the other end.
Shout out to my bold prediction. Hello. Tyrod Taylor will be starting games before the season's end, not due to injury. And bam, here we are.
Yeah, owner stepped in. Yeah, you are a savant, Matt. That's why you're on the show. You're right more than you're wrong. You can't read rookie names at sometimes a year, but besides that, you are a savant.
Listen, my mind was mush that week. I don't know what was happening, but listen, that was the first bold prediction that I've ever gotten right. So do not
kind of a big
bold
deal.
Bold predictions are not my thing, but I'm taking my victory lap on that one, man.
Yeah, kudos to you. Yeah, Mason Taylor, the pick here, tight end premium. I'd much gamble. Like you said, I'm like Garrett said about Luther Burden. Where are you at? I'm chasing upside, and right now, give me that upside on these tight ends. And this is, pre-draft. I said, I remember doing a show with JJ Zacharisa, and he's like, "Rich, where's the value in this draft?" I was like, "JJ, dude, third round, you have your pick of any tight end that you want outside those first round guys. Like all the value is in tight end in this draft." And I'm seeing it again right here, right now just a round earlier. So Mason Taylor is the pick.
Yeah, no doubt. This one's kind of actually a little tough for me because there's a tight end that I do want to take, but there's this running back staring me in the face and Kaleb Johnson. I'm going to have a hard time passing on. All right, yeah. I'm just giving Kaleb Johnson.
I forgot it was you in there. I forgot.
I know. Give me Kaleb Johnson. It's we're getting to the latter part of this the second round here, and I feel like he's worth the gamble at this point. We'll see if he turns in anything next year or towards the end of this season. Even I don't love him as a prospect. I don't think any one of us really loved him, but we do like the spot. So I think there's at least some possibility of maybe this running back room clearing itself up next season, and maybe Kaleb Johnson kind of runs away with it.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna take Jacory Croskey-Merritt, and I know that there's gonna be people watching that are gonna say bro, why did you not take him 5, 6, 7, 10 picks ago? Why did you not take him earlier?
Oh, I think you should go lower.
Maybe, but there's only so many running backs in the NFL, and he's getting 13, 14, 15 carries every game now. Look, is he producing with them? Not really. But we saw early on PFF had him as the number 1 ranked running back. And, there are people that are absolute Jacory truthers. All it is going to take is one big game, one 50-yard touchdown run, one of those things to turn this pick and make it a much more valuable asset. So right now, it's not because I believe that Jacory Croskey-Merritt is truly the best player available, but what I believe is he's the most valuable player available. And so at this point, I'm going to take the highest value player, and I'm going to utilize that for my team.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I see as a flip candidate, there's a path to flip him. But man, we've talked about this on this show. We talked about it on Monday, Garrett, about like how I just think I've been thinking literally, I think since he got his first start, I said he's a hard sell. He's just not involved in the passing game whatsoever. He's seen under 5% target share, not even involved, literally 0% on third downs.
Sure. But is there anybody right now that you would get more for in a trade than JCM?
No, but I'm not looking to make a trade in my rookie draft right now. I'm looking to take the upside, like you said. So I'm taking Jayden Higgins. This is a guy who went 2-1 in the NFL draft. Kind of fits that mold of a guy who hasn't really done much right now. But listen, he's getting a little bit hurt by CJ Stroud. I mean, talk about a massive hit, for a podcast that has been sitting on this podcast for like leagues to tell you to say sell CJ Stroud for 2 years now. And the market's slowly caught up. But man, like he's somewhat holding that team back. But it's not just that as well. It's also the fact that Nico Collins just can't ever stay healthy. Like, what is it? Does he have a concussion now? Is that that this week or something?
It was. Yep, concussion.
It's always something. Like it's always like the guy's super talented, but like it's always something. Where he was drafted, his contract's fully guaranteed. Like there's a path here for Jayden Higgins to kind of learn and carve out a role. So if I'm chasing upside, Jayden Higgins alone is kind of worth more than Jacory Croskey-Merritt, what I can get for him. I'd rather, if you say, hey, you can get this for Jacory or chase the upside of Jayden Higgins, I think I'd rather chase the upside of Jayden Higgins personally.
Yep, and I think I was actually anticipating you kind of going a different direction since you are a tight end slut, and I was getting myself ramped up to talk about Jayden Higgins. So I think that's a really good pick there. All the points you made are perfect. With that in mind, though, with my pick, I'm going to take Elijah Arroyo, who I thought you were going to maybe take. Obviously, not a ton of production here as well, but tight end premium, a guy that's kind of starting to slowly ramp up his usage. This past week, he had 5 targets, 4 receptions, and 42 yards. Nothing to write home about. He's tight end 45 or something like that. He has no touchdowns. So I think, once they figure out that there are more targets out there other than JSN on this team, maybe he'll get a few more sprinkled in and maybe even get a goal line look here and maybe start scoring some touchdowns. We'll see. But Elijah Arroyo, a really talented guy. The only concerns we had coming in were injury, and he's kept himself pretty clean from that perspective. So I like this guy's future.
All right, and I have the last official pick of our draft, and I'm going to take a Monangai, Kyle Monangai here. I really liked his tape. I was very, very high on him coming into the draft. Looking at it, I had him at running back. It's either 9 or 10. I can't tell with the system there, but I had him inside my top 10, and he went in the 7th round. And there were a lot of things that were like, oh man, that might not work out, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I still think he's a really good player. He's going to do a lot of the things that NFL coaches like. And he finds himself in a situation with an NFL coach that likes him. And this week got a ton of usage, 13 carries, 81 yards, even got in the end zone. And surprisingly, they've been targeting him some in the passing game too. For early on in the season, not even getting a ton of snaps. We saw this is the second game with 3 targets. So they're not afraid to throw him the football either. And I could be wrong, but one, if I can get my hands on a running back that even has a chance to see the field, that's very, very valuable. But 2, we know that this team, or at least this head coach, utilized David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs before. Maybe he's trying to form his own version. Obviously not quite as good as those guys, but his own version of that in here in Chicago. So there's some upside there with Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, that is a nice upside pick. Swift has looked pretty good though too, which is I think he's surprised me quite a bit.
Absolutely.
He and especially for him popping up on the injury reports as much as he has this year, he looks nimble. He looks quick. The quad injury doesn't seem to be bothering him too much. So it's starting to round into shape a little bit, that running back duo there of him and Kyle Monangai. So
yeah, man, Monangai took a big step forward, seeing over 25% of the carries. Got 2 of the goal line carries. Instead, if I got 2 of those, Swift has looked really good, over 20 points per game. And with my next pick, I'm taking Terrence Ferguson.
No, do you want to just go rapid? Do you want to go rapid fire and just not say any words? Just hey, sure. I'll take this guy. I'll take this guy. All right. So Rich is taking
Terrence Ferguson.
All right, he's taking Ferguson. I'm going to take my boy Jack Besh.
I'll go Jalen Knoll.
Tez Johnson.
Oh,
Nice pick. Tez Johnson. Baker's dude.
the MVP.
Yeah. I'm going to take T-Slaw and hope that he rounds out and starts balling out a little bit.
I'm going to go Bayshall Tootin.
Pat Bryant.
You?
Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant. All right. So I'm going to hedge my bet. Go Dante Thornton Jr.
I'll go
yeah.
Gunnar Helm. I've liked what I've seen.
Ditto.
Dylan Sampson.
Good pick. Dylan Sampson. Bayshall Tootin's off the board. And Gunnar Helm's off the board. I'm looking it up. Sorry. I'm going to go Bond.
I'm trying to put the strikes through two of them at the same time.
I know. I'm going to go Isaiah Bond.
And that leaves me with the last pick. I'm going to go Torrey Horton.
Yeah, as I was thinking, Torrey Holden or Dylan Gabriel. But yeah, Torrey Holden's a good one right there.
Yep.
All right. So real quick, let's give everybody the final rundown.
Okay.
1-1, we've got Jaxson Dart.
Rundown.
It is a long rundown. 1-2, Ashton Jeanty. 1-3, Tyler Warren. 1-4, Emeka Egbuka. 1-5, Quinshon Judkins. At 1-6, we've got Tet McMillan. 107, Omarion Hampton. 108, Cam Skattebo. 109, TreVeyon Henderson. 110, Travis Hunter. 111, Colston Loveland. 112, Cam Ward. At 2-1, we've got RJ Harvey. At 2-2, Matthew Golden. 2-3, Oronde Gadsden. 2-4, Harold Fannin Jr. 2-5, Brashard Smith. 2-6, Luther Burden Jr. or Luther Burden III. 207, we've got Mason Taylor. 208, Kaleb Johnson. 2-9, we've got Jacory Croskey-Merritt. At 210, Jayden Higgins. 211, Elijah Arroyo. 212, Kyle Monangai. At 301, Terrace Ferguson. 302, Jack Besh. 303, Jalen Knoll. 304, Tez Johnson. 305, Isaac Tesla. 306, Bayshall Tootin. 307, Pat Bryant. 308, Dante Thornton. 309, Gunnar Helm. 310, Dylan Sampson. 311, Isaiah Bond. And 312, Torrey Horton.
God bless America. We'll be back tomorrow with more Dynasty Fantasy Football talk.
Adios.